Benny, it is an absolute pleasure to have you here in the studio with us
Welcome.
today.
Thank you.
Yeah, guys, thank you. Love being in Tucson. Glad we could hang out a little bit.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's all
So
right.
what we like to do is start with a little bit of this and that, a little off the cuff. We call it improvisations.
Oh, we're so
Okay.
clever.
Yeah, we're
We
clever.
are
We're
clever around here.
So, well, let's just jump right into
Yeah,
it.
well,
I'm
let's do
ready.
this. Yeah. So Downbeat Magazine just named you as one of the great rising trumpet stars, and you're on the list with a lot of notable people. So what does that feel like to be on that list?
You know, I every year when the polls and things start to come out, invariably there's always going to be someone that is a master, that is a luminary, that is omitted from a list, or someone that's been on the scene and recorded 12 albums is in the Rising Star list and they're 65 years old, and an NEA Jazz Masters in the Rising Star list. So it's not a perfect science,
Right.
but just to be included amongst your peers and people that I respect and look up to is always going to be an honor. And to me, between the two polls, right, there's the critics poll and the audience poll, the readers poll. The critics poll is nice, right, because we always want the critics to be on our side. But the one that I actually kind of hang my hat on a little bit more is when the readers poll comes out, because that has nothing to do with the industry or opinions. That's just about the audience and the following and the people that are kind of, with you on your journey. And so that to me is really something special, because it means that all of the work and heart and soul that you're putting into the music is resonating with somebody.
It's ticket buyers,
Yeah,
it-
well,
it-
it's that too.
It's
Follow
that
and
too. It's the
buy.
people that you connect with.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right, when you're out on the road and you connect with people all over the country and all over the world, honestly. What keeps you hungry? Like, how do you stay? I mean, people think that. I'll follow it up with this.
Yeah.
People think that being on the road is the most glorious life in the world, right? A lot of people that say that, and I've done my fair share too. And it's hard. And truth be told, I know you were at the gym right before we came here.
I'm trying to get it in, man. It's road life.
Yeah, but that is the road life. But like, how do you manage that? The road life and staying hungry and keeping, on top of your art, and what gets you going?
Yeah, I mean it is a sacrifice when you're committing to spending so much time pounding the pavement and out there traveling. And people always ask me all the time, they're like, how do you do it? On Thursday you're in Japan and on Friday you're in Buenos Aires. Like, I don't know, how does he do it? Like, do you ever sleep? Like, I get those questions all the time. And I mean, part of it is I just answer like, no, I don't really sleep. You know what I mean? There's no other way you could do it. I guess I'm
Right.
good at sleeping on planes, but I definitely get energized by being in front of people and being in the room and playing with great musicians. It's like I could be completely jet lagged, exhausted, 4 cold brews in, and the minute that I step onto the stage, even if I traveled 24 hours to get there, the adrenaline it carries you through.
Right.
And then once like the switch goes on for the rest of the night, I could be exhausted all day, and all of a sudden you finish the gig, it's midnight, and you're like, well, lobby calls 5 a.m. I should go back to bed. But then you're amped up, and somebody's like, there's a jam session down the street, there's this mezcal bar that's open till 2, and then it's like, then you rinse and repeat.
Yeah, you're right. Like,
and the process just goes.
And then it turns, it's 3 a.m. and like, why even bother going to bed at that point?
Yeah, but it's like, that's part of the fun of it too, is,
Yeah.
is the adventure and, a lot of solo traveling. So I'm reliant on connecting with local musicians and like playing at the Century Room this weekend. I've been playing with some of the great musicians from the scene in Tucson. And those are when you get the recs where you're like, which is the best place for tacos? Like, oh, there's a bar with batting cages. That's cool. Like, you don't get that if you're traveling with a band. So I kind of like being a wandering traveler myself and really just connecting with the local scene.
So you said you committed to XYZ with regard to touring. Was there a specific time where you regimented and said, this many years of my X years of life, I will be on the road and doing this crazy life?
Yeah, it's not something that I mapped out into the future, but I had a little bit of like a 1/3 life crisis a few weeks ago when I turned 35, because I was like, okay, I'm closer to 40 than I am 30. It's fine, but that's a reality. And it's definitely like a young person's game, you know? And what tends to happen with these great musicians is a lot of my heroes that are, a generation or two above me. You do that, you travel the world, you've played every country 17 times, and then it's time to, put down roots, whether it's like a teaching gig, a university job, or now you have a wife, or you want to have kids, or you have a dog. I have like a snake plant. That's about it.
Those
And
are
I
good
got to
plants
water
to
that
have
like
when you're on
once
the
a
road.
month. I'm good. That's all I can handle right now.
And that's it.
Yeah.
They're amazing plants
Yeah.
for
So
travelers.
I couldn't put a number on it, but I definitely feel closer to the end of being on the road 300 days a year than, when I set out to do that, when I
certainly
graduated college.
by that time, you've done enough where you can be a little more selective and, choose how many times you want to go to one state or city.
In theory. But my problem is I guess I'm a workaholic. Like my friends are always like, why are you like playing? Why are you take every gig? And I'm just like, I can't not take a gig.
Yeah.
I can't
Enjoy the ride while you can.
Yeah, exactly.
I know there's part of that too,
Exactly.
right?
It's like sports.
You only
Play
have
while you
you
can.
only can live life one time.
Totally.
I might as
And
well live it.
I've got that advice from a lot of older musicians that lived on the road and that, maybe have a family or have a university gig that kind of puts them in one place, and they're like, just until the wheels fall off, just go do it, and I've embraced that.
That's cool.
Cool.
You do both equally well, trumpet and singing. And has one informed the other, or how do you navigate both those worlds, and how do you decide which one you're going to do, or how you're going to implement both?
Well, it's funny because without fail, every time I play a concert, people come up to me after the set. They might be standing one after another in the merch line.
Mm-hmm.
This person says, why didn't you play more trumpet that set? Like, I really like your trumpet playing. You sang too much. Then the person right behind them says, like, why didn't you sing more? Like, you were playing so much trumpet. And it's just without fail every night it's like that. So I try to have sort of an elegant balance, but it's not something that I'm keeping tabs of. It's more just kind of reading the room. And there are certain gigs in certain places where I feel like, you want the music to kind of just speak for itself. So it's like a little less patter in between tunes, a little less singing, like just get to the music. And then there are other rooms where maybe you need to like wrangle in an audience a little bit. And it's like, all right, well then we need to have a little bit more presentation, a little bit more vocals, try and like get them on our side. So some of that is just like experience of being in rooms where it's a captive listening audience in a theater versus a bar and people you're fighting over, people who are, drinking and hanging out, and kind of knowing how to kind of craft the set that way. So it changes night to night, but people always ask me like, what do you like better, or which is your thing? I mean, the trumpet is where I put my 10,000 hours, that's the craft. And singing was something that, I'm very passionate about, and it's become more serious as time has gone along, but I haven't necessarily spent the time honing it the way I have the trumpet.
Yeah.
But, they both have kind of equal seats at the table.
Yeah. Now, Louis Armstrong, he's the archetype for that, for sure. And you've said it in as much that you have your own artistry to it. But with that archetype that exists, like the master at trumpet and singing, and you doing your artistry, how do you separate that, or how do you honor that? I know you do a lot of great things from the American Songbook that would be similar to what he did, obviously different. Like, what's that navigation looks like?
Well, fortunately there is a blueprint, like you said, because we have pops, and then so many other, for whatever reason, the trumpet seems to attract vocalists, because Chet Baker, obviously, Roy Eldridge would sing, Dizzy Gillespie, they sang together, Dizzy sang with Louis Armstrong, and you could even go, Louis Prima was a trumpet player too, and Clark Terry would sing, I mean, Jack Sheldon, Schoolhouse Rock, the lineage of singing trumpet players there, it's pretty deep roster. So, you see the way that those musicians navigated it. And for Louis Armstrong, nobody ever doubted his prowess as a trumpeter. I mean, he was far and away the most impressive, powerful, virtuosic trumpet player. So it's not like when he went to sing on the sunny side of the street, anybody thought he was, being jive or he was selling out or something, because the minute that he would play trumpet, it was like the highest level of artistry.
Right.
So, that's something that I think about too, because I like to have fun, and, I like to give the audience something that they can grab onto. that's maybe, a little bit more palatable. But then the very next song might be something that is an original composition in odd meter with really dense harmony. And, I also ask a lot of the audience too.
Right.
So it's like I kind of live by the old, I think it was Dizzy Gillespie that kind of said, talking about crafting a set. He's like, I play one for the audience, I play one for us,
Yeah.
and I always have kind of tried to craft it that way, where I feel like the art side and the musician side is that's thirst is getting quenched, but also you're giving everyone in the room something that they can latch onto.
I love that about your sets, and I've listened to you play multiple times live and on recordings, and it's very much that. It's very, I hate this word, but I use it, accessible.
Yeah.
Right. It's
But it's good continuity.
but there's
Yeah.
continuity.
Yes.
It's fun. And then I've always found this too. If you get an audience in on your side by giving them playing one for the audience, when you do something that's a little more daring, they're already on your team with you, and they're along for the ride, and it allows you that ability to do one for us.
That's also how you get new people,
oh, for
whether
sure.
they're new to jazz or new to trumpet or new to you. That's how you pull them in, give them familiarity, then they're comfortable.
Yeah, that's maybe my favorite compliment to get after a show is like some guy comes up to me with his date and he was like, yeah, like my girlfriend dragged me here. I didn't never listen to jazz. Like, but this was fun. Like, I actually like jazz. Like, I didn't know. I thought jazz was like Kenny G dentist office, but this was really fun. So I'm like, yes, like
Dude, I'm in.
People don't even realize like how hip and fresh and fun it can be. So that's, I'm always thinking about that. I want to bring people to the music,
So speaking of like you bringing people to music, someone or multiple people have brought music to you. Like, so younger, growing up in Pittsburgh, was there like a teacher that like really changed the course? I know you grew up in a musical family. Like, is there any one defining moment or a space or a time period where you're like, wow, I can't think of not doing this? That's usually what it is for musicians.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, like you said, there is a family lineage, and in Pittsburgh is such a historic city for jazz. So many musicians came from there. So I was playing gigs. I was around the music with my dad. And I had a love for the music, but it was very serendipitous. I feel very lucky that in junior high school, I think the summer between like 7th and 8th grade or 8th and 9th grade, I met Sean Jones, the trumpet player, because he was teaching at that time at Duquesne, a small school in Pittsburgh. And on the weekends, he would fly up to New York and play with Jazz and Lincoln Center and sit next to Wynton in the trumpet section. But he just happened to be living in Pittsburgh with this, adjunct teaching gig at that time. And it was like he fell into my lap. And from that point forward, I was just his shadow. And every gig that Sean had in Pittsburgh, as soon as I had my learner's permit, I'd drive downtown and go see him. And he really kind of gave me the keys to the castle, because he's one of the greatest trumpet players in the world.
Yeah.
And at that time, he was sitting next to Wynton Marsalis in Lincoln Center every other weekend. So, he knew exactly what it was required to be the best in the world at that. So I felt like when I moved to New York and when I got to college and when I started to be around other people, my peers that were really great, I wasn't like a deer in headlights, because nobody's going to play more trumpet than Sean Jones. Nobody's going to practice more hours of the day than him. He kind of like gave me that crash course before I got to New York, so that when I got to New York and I would walk into a club and see Roy Hargrove or run into Nicholas Payton or John Faddis, I wasn't like completely out of my depth.
Right.
I was like, oh yeah, no, I've heard Sean Jones 10,000 times.
Yeah.
I know that I can just get my butt handed to me.
At least you know what's coming at that point,
I didn't have
right?
to go to New York to get my butt handed to me. I'll put it to you that way. It happened long before that.
Was there pressure? I mean, you come from this lineage of entertainers and musicians. And was there pressure, or did they just say, here's the horn, let's see what happens? Or here's the horn you're going to be? Or how was it presented?
I think I was lucky, because I grew up with a lot of, talented. I mean, we were talking on the way over here, one of the favorites of the festival is my close friends, Emmett Cohen.
Yeah.
And there's this kind of this group of us that were all doing these high school national programs, honors programs together. So like with Emmett and Grace Kelly and Chad LB and Christian Sands and Sullivan Fortner, all these cats that like we were growing up together, we were all coming through like this jazz summer camp and this honors program and this presidential scholar, and we were running into each other all the time. And there were some of those students from that period that if you asked Sullivan or Emmett or John Batiste or any of these guys, they'd be like, oh, this was the piano player that we were all scared of. This was the one that when we were 17, he wiped the floor with all of us. But in some of those cases, you had like a lot of external pressure. You had like whatever you want to call it, stage parents, helicopter parents, soccer mom, whatever, like where these parents had like conditioned their 12-year-old to like, you are going to be a jazz, child prodigy. And then they get to be 20 years old and they are burnt out on jazz, and they might still be doing music. Maybe they found another avenue, another passion for it, or they are not doing music. And I always felt very lucky that I had that resource of my parents if I had a question. But like if I wanted to be the 10th guy on the bench in the baseball team, they were happy to let me do that.
Yeah.
Cool. And if I wanted to go, be in jazz band, they'd certainly support me doing that. But it wasn't like they pushed me into it. So I haven't burned out yet.
Were you the guy on the bench?
Oh yeah, I was on the bench. I was on the bench, but you wanted me on your team, I'm a good guy in the clubhouse. And I think there was one baseball game where like I was asleep in the dugout and they actually called me to like pinch hit and get in the game, and I was asleep because I just never played.
Oh, no.
So I missed my big shot. But
I played like left field, and I remember the coach saying, just no, go out further. No, a little further. They're never going to hit the ball out here. Yeah. Like, no, just go a little further.
But you call it sports ball. He calls it.
I do call it sports ball.
Yeah.
That's so funny. So you travel all over the world. In Tucson, we have a scene here, and but so what do you see in Tucson's scene right now that excites you?
Well, we were just talking about it. I was hosting the jam session at the club, the Century Room, last night, and there were so many young musicians. A lot of them coming through the TJI, the youth program, and some of the great musicians. I'm actually going on tour with a Jazz at Lincoln Center produced show called Crooners for like 10 weeks across North America next year. And Robbie Lee is playing piano and singing on that show.
And he came from Tucson.
Yeah, and he came through that youth program. And it's great to see the next generation and young musicians coming to jam sessions and trying to be a part of things. But then you also have cats like Arthur Vint, who runs that club that I went to school with him in New York, and he was bartending at the Village Vanguard for a decade. So again, it's like you rub elbows with the creme de la creme, and what that sounds like, and what's required. So you have enough people like that take that feeling and then bring it to where they are and try and recreate it. And I think the Century Room is a great hub nucleus for that, for Tucson. And then the festival it kind of just like becomes the center of the jazz universe for a couple weeks, and then I feel like everyone in Tucson, you latch onto that feeling and you like inject it into your veins for 2 weeks, and then that kind of carries you through the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And then the next January comes, and it's like the flu shot. You get your next dose and you go on,
Maybe we could start a new campaign. You could be our spokesperson, right? The Benack jazz flu shot.
It's the mRNA, but M stands for
please
music.
Do not affiliate me with any vaccines.
No, we're not saying that.
I don't need the politics.
Like, that's right. Let's go back to Pittsburgh. All right, you're part of
right.
Pittsburgh. I'm from Pennsylvania too. You know that, right?
I did my internship at WDVE.
Okay. Oh yeah,
right.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah. And you come from a musical family. I mean, did I get this right? Your grandfather wrote the theme song for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
For the he tailgated at the Steeler games and Pirates games. That's actually like a sports radio trivia question in Pittsburgh, is like, who played for both the Pirates and the Steelers? And then it's like Benny Benack, because he played trumpet. Yeah. That's like an old trivia question.
Oh, I getcha, yeah.
But he wrote the theme song when the Pirates won the World Series in 1960. Bill Mazeroski walk-off against the Yankees. And he co-wrote that with a great guitarist from Pittsburgh who's still with us, 94 years old today, Joe Negri, who everybody knows as Handyman Negri from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Oh, my gosh.
But he was a living legend of the guitar, and he would play with the house band on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. But he recorded that song with my grandfather. They were good friends. And I to this day, one of the most memorable performances I ever had was in high school. Janice Burley Wilson, who runs the Pittsburgh International Jazz Live Festival, she booked me on a concert duo with Joe Negri. And Joe had played with my grandfather, and I got to play with him, before he kind of gracefully retired. And he's still with us now and on Facebook and very active. But that's a piece of Pittsburgh history. So I carry that tradition with me.
It's really cool.
That's such a cool legacy, and to have that full circle moment, playing with someone who played with your grandfather and whatnot. So, have you ever played the national anthem for the Pittsburgh Steelers or the?
You know what is funny is I played the national anthem at a Pirate game, and actually I was home. It was Christmas time when we were filming this. I was home last week for Christmas, and my mom dragged me out of bed to run a 5K. So she's like, "Okay, you have to go to the sporting goods store and you have to get our numbers the day before." And I was like, fine. So I go to get the numbers and I'm at the tent and they're like, "What's your name?" And I'm like, "Benny Benack." And then like the guy looks up, he's like, "Benny Benack, like the Benny Benack?" And I think he's like recognizing me. And then I'm like, why yes. He's like, "Yeah, from the Pirates, 1960. I was like, "Oh, of course."
You're like,
my
"Come on,
grandfather. But then you get to talking with them. I said, "Yeah, my mom and I are running." So long story short, I ended up going there and bringing my trumpet and I played God Bless America like in my running outfit.
That's awesome.
They were like, "And now Benny Benack will play God Bless America." And then I like basically had the trumpet in my hand for half of the 5K. So
okay,
pretty fun.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was like last week. That was so random. They're like, "Would you mind like bringing your trumpet?" I was like, "Oh."
I feel like there's so many moments like that in Pittsburgh, but it's about the town and the community and how it's so tight. It's
right.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Tucson in a way. In that I think it punches above its weight class for the amount of culture and talent and people that it attracts and people that are here. Right. Where you're like, a city of this size has no business outputting this much, culture and arts, and yet.
Yeah,
it does.
I went to the Mellon Jazz Festival.
Oh yeah,
when it was called the Mellon Jazz
for
Festival.
Many years.
Yeah.
Yeah, for our listener, like this is no joke. If you know jazz, all these people come from Pittsburgh. Earl Hines, Billy Strayhorn.
Keep it going. Come on.
Art Blakey, George Benson.
That's right.
Ray Brown.
Boom.
Benny Benack.
I was going to say Benny
1,
Benack.
2, and 3.
Yeah, exactly. All three. I mean, the list is, and
Crazy.
that's just a partial list. I mean, I could go on and on.
Crazy.
Yeah. Who was the pianist for Mr. Rogers? You mentioned that too.
Oh, Johnny Costa.
Johnny Costa.
Yeah, he's a legend. The White Art Tatum, that's what they called him. That was his nickname. He could play. I mean, Ahmed Jamal, Mary Lou Williams, Errol Garner. That's just piano.
Right.
Stanley Turrentine. I mean, we could go. I could go all day.
Did I say Ray Brown?
Yeah,
Ray Brown. Come on.
Art Blakey.
I like that we don't name drop in this podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
We're totally name dropping Pittsburgh greats right here. It's amazing.
I'll take it.
Let's do a lightning round. All right. First live performance you ever saw that changed you?
Monty Alexander, Manchester Craftsmen's Guild, Pittsburgh, with my grandma.
Oh my gosh,
nice.
Amazing.
Yeah.
One artist, past or present, you wish you could have shared the stage with, or still want to.
Clark Terry.
Ooh.
Yeah, he was fun.
Yeah.
I got this one.
Okay.
Best late night meal after a gig.
Well, I'm in Tucson. I got to say, like, tacos.
What about Pittsburgh?
Primanti
I
Brothers.
was gonna ask, yes.
It's the only thing that's open at that hour in Pittsburgh.
And still hanging in.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Album that never leaves your turntable.
Frank Sinatra, Count Basie, Live at the Sands.
Oh.
Dude, that is so
sorry,
good.
I know that's basic, but come on.
Yeah. I mean, it's Quincy arrangements too. Like, it's like, there's so many like top notch.
Yeah.
I mean, you have three of the best right there. All right. Dream show that you'd love to make happen. No limits.
Wow, I'd love to bring together a modern day Rat Pack and be able to be flanked by some of my favorite singers. If I could do a show with Gregory Porter, Kurt Elling, and John Pizzarelli, and Michael Mayo, Tyreek McDowell, some form of just like powerhouse, get together all the great male singers we have now and put together some kind of show, I think that would be super fun.
That would be cool. So
I'd buy a ticket.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'd buy a ticket to that. I'd love to see that. Which one do you identify with in the Rat Pack then, the most?
I mean, I have to say Frank Sinatra again. I hate to be basic, but
no, that's not basic. Yeah, I was hoping it wasn't the Dean Martin. Like, I can't be on the bandstand unless I'm three sheets to the wind.
Well, Dean liked to golf, so I do. I like to golf too.
He does like
I
to
didn't
golf.
know that about Dean.
Yeah. So we always like to end the podcast with one question, and it's one that I ponder and I think about, and I love getting, because we get different perspectives all the time. So, why does live music matter?
I mean, I feel like that question becomes more important with each update of the AI music creation
That's
software.
valid.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's just
Right.
every day we have to remind ourselves that. And I think it really will prove to be music's and musicians' saving grace, because as every other arena, it can be, computerized and monetized. And we all know what streaming has done to, sales of physical records and all of that. I think at the end of the day, people still want to be moved and go see a live performance. They want to see something real and tactile and analog and have that experience live in front of them. So when all else fails for musicians, when we don't have any secondary income streams from the other, corners of the business, standing in front of a room full of people, I have to believe will never go out of style.
No.
People are always going to want that. And if you had AI do that, it would just be like animatronic Chuck E. Cheese animals, and they tried that. It didn't work.
Yeah, it only fools you for about maybe a second and a half.
Yeah, so I think that people wanting to go out and connect with other people, have that shared experience, that energy that gets swirling around during a great concert with the audience and the band feeding off each other.
But
there's no replacement for that. So everything else may go to shit, but we will still have a festival where people want to come together and share that experience.
That's awesome.
I want to agree with you with that 100%. It's what makes us human.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for spending a
and
little
we
time
can learn
with
more
us.
about you, BennyBenackJazz.com.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Any chance that you could play us out today?
Oh, well, I do happen to have my trumpet.
What? You brought it with you?
Oh my gosh.
I gotta get it. Oh, what do I play? What tune should I play?
Read the room, man.
Yeah. Let me see if you can do like one of those mind reader things. I'm literally thinking of a song.
Oh, boy.
And it's one I guarantee you know.
Okay.
And it's a positive song.
Oh, okay. A happy song?
It's a happy song.
Is it weather related?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I'm gonna. I don't know if that's what you're thinking of, but because I said that, I'm gonna play On the Sunny Side of the Street.
Holy shit!
Is that what it was? Come on!
What it was?
No, it was like Mentalist, because we were
I know,
Louis
that's what I was
Armstrong,
thinking.
Louis Armstrong.
Yeah,
and I was
exactly.
Like, okay,
That's what
all
it was. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Grab your coat and grab your hat. Leave your worries on the doorstep. Life could be so sweet on the sunny side of the street. Can you hear the pitter-pat of the raindrops trickling down the window pane? Life can be so fine, fine as Kansas City wine. I used to walk in the shade, wigging at my blues on parade. Now I'm not afraid. This rover crossed over. If I never had 1 cent, I'd be rich as Mr. Chris Dodge. That's right. Gold dust at my feet, or on the sunny side of the street. I used to walk in the shade with my blues on parade. Now I'm not afraid. This rover, don't you know, we done gone cross over.